Morning everyone, today's Toolbox Talk we're going to cover fire procedures in the construction industry. So firstly then, key legislation. So this is governed by the Regulatory Reform Fire Safety Order 2005. So this is a key piece of legislation that applies to non-domestic premises, including construction sites. And it requires that a fire risk assessment is carried out and that fire safety measures are put in place. You have the Health and Safety at Work Act. Employers must ensure the health and safety of their employees, including protection from fire hazards, which will include providing necessary training, equipment, and a safe system of work. Under the Construction Design and Management Regulations, the principal contractor has the responsibility to ensure fire risks are minimised during the construction phase, as well as during the design and planning stages. And if you're on a site in Scotland, it comes under the Fire Safety Scotland Act 2005 and applies to construction sites in Scotland and requires that fire safety provisions are made before works begin. So what are the typical fire hazards on a construction site? You could have flammable materials such as paints, solvents, chemicals and fuels. Electrical installations, so temporary electrics and power tools. Hot works, which would include welding, cutting and grinding. Smoking and open flames, and also waste materials such as timber and plastics. So what prior fire prevention measures must we have in place? So as mentioned above, a fire risk assessment should be conducted before the work begins, and this is to identify potential fire hazards and assess the risks of fire. This should be regularly reviewed, particularly if there are significant changes to the site or the work being carried out. You also have to control hot works, so like we said, welding or cutting, and they should be carefully controlled to avoid sparking fires. Ensure that a fire watch is assigned after work. The hot work area is clear of flammable materials and fire extinguishers are nearby. Safe storage and disposal of flammable materials. So you should be storing fuels, chemicals and other flammable materials in a designated area, away from the work area and potential ignition sources. Also ensure proper ventilation and dispose of waste safely. Electrical safety. Ensure that all temporary electrical installations are correctly installed, regularly inspected and meet legal requirements. Electrical hazards are a leading cause of fire on construction sites. Fire extinguishers and equipment. So fire extinguishers should be made available on site and workers should know how to use them. The type of extinguishers should be appropriate for the type of fire risks present. And site safety measures. Ensure adequate means of escape are provided with clear emergency exits. Keep fire doors and escape routes clear and accessible at all times. And ensure that all workers know the location of the fire alarms, the extinguishers and the escape routes. Fire safety training. So all workers should receive fire safety training before starting on site, and it could include knowing the locations of fire exits, alarms and extinguishers, understanding fire evacuation procedures, emergency contact numbers and how to report fires, how to use the proper use of firefighting equipment, and should have knowledge of hot work permits and the risk of flammable materials. The fire evacuation procedures covers 4 areas. So first, the evacuation plans. A fire evacuation plan should be in place and accessible to all workers. It should be clearly marked and everyone should be familiar with it. Assembly points. Designate a safe assembly point where all workers should gather in the event of an evacuation. Ensure that this area is far from any potential fire risks. Raising the alarm. Ensure that workers know how to raise the alarm in the event of a fire. This should include clear instructions on the locations of fire alarms and what to do when the fire alarm sounds. And then head counts and a roll call. After the evacuation, carry out a head count or roll call to ensure that all personnel are accounted for. Never re-enter the building until it has been declared safe. Personal protective equipment. So workers must wear appropriate PPE for fire safety, including the fire-resistant clothing if necessary, gloves and safety goggles if working with flammable substances or hot works, and then RPE where appropriate for working environments with smokes and fumes. So in conclusion, construction sites are vulnerable to fire hazards, but by identifying risks early, ensuring proper safety measures are in place, and maintaining fire safety training and equipment, you can minimise the dangers. Compliance with UK fire safety legislation is not just about following the rules, it's about protecting lives and property. Thank you very much.